I'd like to talk a little about my work and a relationship. My son's mother's, my son's mother. Well, after I started at school, I began to work with my father at the hospital because he was custodian there, and I worked there for a while. It was summertime, I remember. And then, I know in 1994, or 1984, I applied at a company in our hometown. This company did military contracts, and I got hired, got accepted, so I started work. They trained me into being a welder, so I became a welder for them. I welded on aluminum, a lot of spot welding, did other types of welding too as well. I did some military contracts, and what I worked on, most of the work done was for medical stuff in the military. Like I worked on medical surgical units, medical surgical cabinets, medical tables, um, food containers, and supply containers. I welded them up for the military. It's a good paying job. It's really a good paying job. I was making a lot of money. I getting paid weekly. I'll take home almost $1,000 every week. That's how much of a good paying a job was. And this was in the mid 1980s to mid 1990s. So I was making a good job as a welder. Good pay. I was still living with my parents. But what helped there, I believe, was that I used to give my parents quite a few, like about $200 or $300 every paycheck to help them with their bills. So that kind of made it okay. I mean, it seemed alright to be living with my parents then compared to what I went through with them. But I worked at this company, and I wasn't the only one that worked there from my high school. There were other people there I went to school with. I started work there. Some had it in for me yet, and some I never did anything to. I mean, just like way high school, where it was. There were people that I knew who they were, but I didn't know them personally because it's a small town. I knew who people were. I just didn't know them personally. And sometimes I started making, or they started picking on me, I guess. And that's how just like high school, how I was picked on in high school, how would I had to go through there. Like in just a different environment, work environment this time. I had to go through that. I can tell who didn't like me. Just that feeling, I got from high school. I got good at that. I can tell who didn't like me, tell who was talking about me. I mean, it's so obvious when they're looking right at you and saying stuff, to each other. And laughing, looking at you, You can just tell. I mean, what would they be looking at me if it wasn't concerning me? But yeah, it's just the same as high school. Got to be that way with me. So I had to go through that. Again, from high school to my work environment. Like, and this never changed. Like I said, I was just a magnet for trouble. Just a magnet. It always came to me. no matter what I tried to do, no matter if I try to be, how better, how I try to be nice and do good things, just never seemed to work. More people had it in for me than wanted to be my friend. Not giving me that chance. They might have, some of them might have, we might have had some good friendships. It just seemed to go bad. So, just the way it was. So I went through this at work too as well. And I used to drink. It was good money, so I had some extra money to go out and sit in a bar. And sometimes I did get in trouble because of alcohol. Said some things, done some things I shouldn't have done. And it got me in trouble with some people at work. So I had to go through that. It wasn't a very nice. I messed up. I did some things I shouldn't have done. So, all because of alcohol. So I went through the same stuff. Just a different environment from school. Work environment. Some of the stuff I caused to myself because of making mistakes. Drinking. Just happens, I guess. I didn't mean to, but alcohol was involved. Anyhow, as I still continue to work there, it must have been this must be around 1988 when I met my son's mother in the summer. Drinking, I ran into her. And this time I had a pickup truck. So, anyhow, she had two children from a previous relationship, a son and a boy. And then later on, as we drink more, I can't remember how we started taking drugs, but we did. And this drug called speed. Back then it was called speed. So we used to take this drug. First it wasn't bad. I mean, didn't do it all the time, just once in a while. Then we got pregnant with our son. He was born a year later in 1990. And I got a car. So, drinking and drugs started getting worse. Started going down that path. Back then, it didn't bother me. I was getting more addicted to these pills, which are very addictive. Alcohol was always there. But we used to take these pills more frequently, buying lots of them. I said I was making some good money to where I can affording things I never thought I'd afford. Well, just drugs and boozing. So our son was born, and we got our first apartment. Together, me and my son's mother. And it's alright for the beginning, but it didn't end well at the end. More drugs and alcohol were involved. It got so bad between me and her that we started having our arguments. All it started was that I used to go to work and she'd come home. I'd come home and she'd be drunk, drinking, and she'd hawk some of my stuff that I had, like a portable stereo or whatever there was. She'd go hawk them, and I have to go get them out. I tell her not to do this, but yet she still do it. So it caused problems between me and her. Because I would come back and she would be drinking. Sometimes I got mad, so I started drinking. Anyhow, when it really got bad, before then, there was a lady who lived in an apartment, same building. It's a different one. And she asked who was all living with. I told her just me and my wife. Not my wife, me and my son's mother. And she said, "Oh, anyone else in there?" I said, "No." So why? She said, "It's because every time I walk to your window, it's on the ground level. High, but it was on the ground level." She said, "It was open." She said, "It sounded like somebody was having sex in there." She said, in your apartment?" I said, "Really?" I said, "Really? My apartment?" She said, "Yeah." So that was new to me. I didn't know about this. I asked her about it. It just caused more problems between me and her. Anyhow, it got so bad that we were just at each other's. I mean, the worst way, going at each other. I never hit her. I never fought against her. She never did the same to me. I didn't make it. Later on, I would do something that I shouldn't have done against her. I can't remember when this happened, but I know I kicked her in the butt, and I guess I hurt her tailbone. After that, though, I never touched her. I just, left her. I mean, she got the help she needed for it, because I guess it was pretty sore. But that's the only thing I did to her, and I didn't really think it was going to do that much to her, but I guess it hurt her tailbone enough to where it caused her some pain. That's the only thing I did. I never hit her in the face. I never tried to hit her at all. I never tried to be violent towards her. Anyhow, when we had that apartment, she started locking me out of the place, keeping me locked out. When I was drinking, she'd tell me to go to the store or something, go get something. And I'd go, and I'd come back, and she wouldn't open the door for me. I was drunk. One time, this is how we ended up losing the apartment, because I tried to get in through the window, and somehow the window broke. I can't remember if I don't know. I know I didn't. I didn't break it. I can't remember how it broke. I know it broke. And the next day, my landlord said we had to get out because of that. So that's how we ended up losing that apartment. She moved back to her mother's with her son, and I moved back to my mother's, my parents. that car. I had a car, and I used to go and take him shopping, help her take care of her son, bought stuff for him. Then one time she came to my house, my parents' house, and she asked to use the car. She said she'd be right back. She had something to do. I said she'll use it and she'll come right back. I said, okay. Trusted her. So she took it. She didn't come back the whole night. Next day either. I found it at night though. I mean that evening. But when I found it, I heard she was with somebody else in my car. So just like the apartment, she was with somebody else in my apartment, and now she was with somebody else in my car. It got to me. Hurt. Felt sad about it. Felt betrayed. Kind of really didn't want this to happen, but it did. Just hurt. Because I had to go through this with her. And someone, I thought, I really liked her, and I thought maybe things would work out good for us. No, we can do good together, but apparently not. So we ended up splitting up. This is the second time we split up. Because we were dating kind of off and on, not really into a relationship, but so. Anyhow, we would try to get back together again later on. We did. And she was living at her mom's, so I moved over to her mom's with her and her son. So I used to go to work from there. I used to come back and she'd be drunk, drinking. There'd be guys there with her drinking. So. Didn't like it. Didn't like what was going on. Didn't know what was going on. But later on, I'd find out that she was with one of those guys when I was there. I mean, not the same time I was there, but I mean, the guy was there with me. When I came back from work, was there yet. I didn't notice till later on. When I was told who she was with. Again, sad. Unhappy. Things were going bad. I didn't believe in. We ended up splitting up. This is the third guy. And each time we tried. I mean, trying to make things work, but it just didn't happen. I think I should have learned by now, but I didn't. So we tried again. Not so much I cared for this lady and wanted to make it work out. The mother of my son, so we tried. And she started work at my company I was working at. I was there for a while now, still welding. And she started work, but she started on the second shift. I was on first, I believe. I believe that's the way we planned it out, so we didn't have to pay for a babysitter. Anyhow, as time went by, I told her I'd come pick her up and stuff, Then all of a sudden that stopped. She didn't. Oh, I got a ride home. She said, I'll come home. I said, oh, okay. And then she wouldn't come home. She'd be gone the whole night. See her again, and then arguments, what was going on. I can't remember some stories she used to give me, but I know she gave me some stories. But I'd find out later that she was starting to date somebody on the second shift. So I sort of figured that was going on. Something was happening. I knew. No. I learned from the 3 times before, so this is her first time. Again, feeling sad about it. Not so much hurt, maybe because I expected not to go. Try to work out, or try to work, between us. Because of what was going on between us. So this is the fourth guy, and she ended up being in a relationship with him. She ended up moving in with him, living. I had our son back with us. So I'd asked her for custody. She gave me custody. So I started raising him from when he was about 1.5 years old, maybe 2, somewhere in there. But she started this relationship with this guy. And they lived about 3 blocks away from my parents' house, the town I was living in with him. With my son. And she used to come and visit our son. And there were times I ended up with her. I mean, even though she was only there for like 2 or 3 hours, but we'd end up together. It just happened, I guess. Just what happened between us. And after that, we quit. I mean, I wasn't dating her after that. It just seemed like we just went our own direction. And when I was out drinking at one time, I ran into her and I had a second car, different one. So we ended up together drinking. Then we ended up going to a nearest town and getting a hotel room. Because the town I lived in didn't have one. Hotels. But the town next to us, 23 miles away did. So went there, drank. And I ended up falling asleep and passing out. And I woke up, the car was gone. Some of my stuff was missing. Money. And yeah, I got a ride back to my hometown. I can't remember where I found the car, but I did find it. I think it was with her auntie's, parked outside her auntie's house. I think. Trying to remember if that's correct. But I know I got my car back. And after that was the last straw. I mean, I've been through so much with her. This time, I wasn't really into her anymore. Just like after I had to experience everything from her. Just didn't really. I wasn't as into her as I used to be because of that. What she put me through with all these guys. Felt hurt each time. Felt lied to. What she tell me? Well, always lied to. What she told me. Unfaithfulness. Quite a few times I had to go through that with her. Quite a few. That's why I tried to make this relationship work. But so much I was into her. After all that, the last time was the straw. And last time it didn't bother me no more. She didn't have that hold on me like she used to. But I tried to make things work with her. That was gone. Well, maybe I just gave up. Let it go. So I just concentrated on staying with my son and raising him. Taking these drugs, me and her started. Years before, 1989, we started taking these drugs. Speed. And I got addicted to these. I'm sure she did too as well. She had started a problem with alcohol. I can see that. So, but after I started getting off these pills, at the same time, son's mother stopped coming around. She wasn't coming around, and hardly, not at all. I never asked, never wondered what was going on. I just left it. If there was something important, I'm sure somebody would have told me on her family side, but nobody didn't say anything to me. So I started, my job was coming into an end. And this was in 1994, because the company was closing down. The government was going to close the company down. So, after the company closed down, I became unemployed. So I said, well, I was tired of taking drugs anyhow. About 5 years of doing it. These drugs, these speed they were called. So I started to sobering up from them. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. You see, when I first started taking these pills, I was just take one or two. And that's me about 4 or 6 hours. That's how I started out. And later on, as time went by, I started moving up. Pretty soon I know I was taking 5 every 4 or 6 hours. Then it got to be even more, 7 or 8 every 4 to 6 hours. And I know I was taking 10, even 12 between that same time, 4 to 6 hours. I was moving up there, and I was getting more addicted to them. I didn't see what I was doing to myself, how bad I was getting with them. All I wanted was more. That's how bad I got with them. Always wanted more. But after I got bad like that, going through it for about 5 years, I decided to sober up. get off this because my job came to an end and I couldn't afford them anyhow. So I said it's time to sober up then. So I did. And when I did, it took a while. First 3 months were the roughest part. I didn't use drug rehab. I didn't go to any type of drug rehab. I did it all on my own. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I had some, I slept a lot. I mean, I went through some withdrawals, sleeping, body shakes, they call them tremors, sweating. I remember I used to soak my bed up with my sweating, getting off of these pills, sobering up. Just an awful feeling. Can't explain it how I felt sobering up. 3 months or about maybe 2.5 were the toughest part. Around 2.5 months, 3 months. See, sleeping was a big part of it. I know I slept lots. I'm pretty sure my parents knew that there was something wrong with me, or because I was living at my parents' house yet. They helped me care for my son. I got up and I cared for him. Even though I was tired, I still got up and did it. And every chance I got, I would lay down and go to sleep. I sort of figured my parents might have known something was going on with me. They never said anything, so I did sober up from them. A lot of withdrawals. I did have that craving to go back on them, but I fought that craving. I never experienced something like that before. How it made your body feel. Tremors, shakes, sweating, feeling fatigued. Like I had this feeling there's I can feel one of my organs inside me somewhere down in here. That, just this feeling there when I was sobering up. So it took a while going through all that. Fought the cravings not to go back on them. So I'd often think, I could put this to an end if I could just go get some and my body would be fine then after that. But I can't remember if I did. I don't think I did. I don't think I did. I don't remember doing that. But after 3 months went by, I started coming around to myself, get back to normal. I was up, doing more, eating more. Feeling better about myself. Like I can feel my own self coming back. Before I was on these drugs, just returning to my own self. In about the 6th month, I was finally say I was all right. Probably took longer, but by 6 months, I'd say I was good enough to, or I didn't crave them anymore, didn't want them in my life anymore. It took that long. Now I know how addiction feels. Something I had to experience, I guess. I didn't realize what I was doing to myself until after I tried to sober up. Oh, I did sober up. Then I realized what I've done. I'm glad I sobered up though. Glad I never stayed on them. I had a friend who stayed on them. And I remember when I sobered up running into him and seeing how he was. Asking me if I had any with me. I said, no, I got off of those. See how he was. He had tremors. I don't know, I just tell there's something about him when he was on those pills. When he was on them. What he was, from what I heard, was worse than mine. His cravings or his addiction. I don't know how bad. I never asked him. I just heard about it. And he would end up passing away too. I mean, within about 2 or 3 years after that, maybe 5, somewhere in there. I know he passed away. I don't know if it's because of his pills or what, but what he was doing, because I lost contact with him. But I just heard of his passing. But he was really into them, worse than I was. So I'm glad I stopped. I'm glad. Fight to get over that, but I did. Made it through it. I'm glad to be sobered up from them. Now, after my work goes on, I end up going to college, becoming a police officer, getting a criminal justice degree, working on my reservation. And this time I got married to a lady I met in college. And later on, I never really thought about my son's and mother. But she ended up showing up back then. I can't remember the year, but it was maybe 2000, somewhere in there. She showed up, and she wanted to see her son, so I let her take him for a while. He went to go spend some time with her, and she brought him back. And I don't understand, she was married to a truck driver that drove across the country, delivering goods. So I guess that's where she's been. That's why she hasn't been around. Anyhow, my wife couldn't find employment on my reservation because it was a small town, not very big. Nothing to work for. I mean, when people had jobs there, they kept them. So, hard to find work for her. Anyhow, so we ended up moving away. And she went to work for a casino. And some of her relatives were working at this casino. And in about 2004, I got a word from the relatives that she had passed away, my son's mother. I didn't know what, I never asked. I just told them I'm sorry to hear this. And she must have been about 2 years younger than me. In 2004, I was 40 years old, so she's about 38. Maybe even younger. Pretty sure, I can't remember her age, but I know she was younger than me. So she died pretty young. I have no clue what, I never asked. Wasn't any foul play, so I knew that. I never heard of anything like that happening to her. Anyhow, my son went back and went to her funeral. I stayed and worked where I was at, and his family would bring him back because those were his cousins on his mom's side that he went back home with to her funeral that were working in the same casino I was. They brought him back. That's the last time I heard from her. I heard about her passing. That was the last time. I was surprised. So young. I don't know what the circumstances were that led up to her death, but I know alcohol might have played a problem. I don't know if drugs were. I really can't say alcohol did either because I really don't know nothing. But when I left her, I guess she was more into alcohol. So, but I went through a lot with her. Learned a lot. Learned a lot. Tried to make this relationship work. Well, boy, 3 or 4 times it didn't work. How many times there was unfaithfulness to me? Each time we were trying to make it work. Going through that, feeling hurt, sad, disrespected, lied to. She'd tell me what she was going to do and do completely something different. Hurt and sadness. It wasn't working. When you really care about somebody, try to make things work with her. At least I did. It just didn't go for me. She didn't have that in her mindset, so at least I tried. Didn't end up hurt too many times though too. I tried each and every time. A lot of sadness from it. Betrayal, trust issues, hurt, pain, sadness. And trying to make it work, but just didn't do. This didn't go. Just wouldn't. So I learned a lot from that. I said I'll never let that happen to me again. Well, some of the stuff I've been through. Well, I'll leave it here. Hey, thank you.